Apple Knocker Radio.
That's definitely interesting. So, all right, well, cool. That's a good way to kick this off.
Story or sex act. We went sex act.
I think it was a good choice.
Thank you.
So, all right, we'll talk about some general things. I'm especially curious because I know you have a new single coming up, and you're also you guys are back to performing at least maybe somewhat regularly. Although I guess we'll find out what the future holds there, which is new. But specifically, the thing that I'm so excited to talk to the two of you about is Leonard Cohen, which is the single that I've told you I've been crazy about from the moment I heard it. And so to me, there's kind of like two avenues into this song, because there is the subject matter of the song itself, and then there's the story of how you recorded it, which is also very unique. And so let's start with the history of it. Can you talk about where that came from, why it's titled Leonard Cohen, etc.?
Sure. So we put out a record a little bit ago called Radio Hymns, which was Lost Nashville's History. And that turned into a weird twist of a book publisher reaching out and asking us, hey, you guys want to write the hidden history of Music Row? And we kind of laughed about this, like, God, are we going to write a book? But we ended up writing it with our friend Brian Allison. And we kept finding these incredible stories through this book. And one of the chapters that we divided by chapters, and one of the chapters I wrote was about folks through the 60s, 70s that came to Nashville looking for that Nashville sound and weren't country music. And obviously Bob Dylan sort of started that, but Leonard Cohen came. And so the story that we loved about Leonard is that Leonard had, and he's a favorite songwriter.
Yeah,
I mean, we've always loved Leonard Cohen for many reasons, but the story we came across and why this is called Leonard Cohen is that Leonard, had decided, he put out his first album. He was very disappointed in the response. He was kind of in a quitting mode. And he was at a party in Los Angeles. And Bob Johnson, who produced the Dylan stuff, said to him, Leonard, don't, paraphrasing, I'm kind of making up the conversation, said, don't give up. You were talented. Why don't you come to Nashville? And little did he know, Cohen sort of had this secret desire to be as good as the Nashville songwriters. That was sort of... So he rented a cabin in Libras Fork, which is a little town south of Nashville near Franklin. And he kind of holed up in this cabin and did his famous beat his head against the wall trying to write songs. And this experience of being in Nashville, and in that cabin through apparently a pretty long, dark winter, led to some of his, led to Chelsea Hotel and Famous Blue Rain, and one of his most famous songs. So I think we had finished the book and we'd written some songs inspired by the book, and we got together with my friend Carl Anderson. Mm-hmm. And we kind of thrown this idea out, all as fans of Leonard Cohen, about what a moment in time might have been like inside Cohen's head as he's trying to get these songs, because he was the famous to work 5 years on a song. Dylan would work 5 minutes, Cohen would work 5 years. So that was the genesis of the song. What is he thinking in this moment as he's trying to write? So that's kind of how it started.
Wow, that's really cool. So he was there in the winter time. And are winters in that area like severe?
Well, I mean, this winter is a good example. We actually had a lot of snow this year. We've had already 9 inches this year, which is a lot for Nashville. They just tend to be like it is outside right now. It's 36 degrees and raining, and it's been doing that for 3 or 4 days. So
okay. So it's not like he was buried under 10 feet of snow or anything.
Get a little bit melts in a few days. But
no, we just we get more rain than Seattle here, which is weird.
Well, we get more yes. Inches, less days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's still a lot of rain. I mean, damn.
Rain.
So what after that? So Famous Blue Rain. I'm familiar with those songs. I'm familiar with all of Leonard Cohen's songs, but I'm not really familiar with his life arc. So what happened after those events? Like, because you said he was about to quit music or thinking about quitting music. And so do you know what kind of happened after he got out of the cabin?
Well, he was writing in the cabin, but then he ended up making, I believe, I may want to check me on this, 2 records here at Columbia Studio A. And one of those was Songs in Love and Hate, which included a lot of this. But he ended up working with producer Bob Johnson on these albums. And it's interesting to go back and listen to him because you almost hear the Dylan influence so much. Yeah. I mean, no way of knowing what he was thinking, but it was those songs here and the recording here that I guess kind of pushed him along, in his early part of his career. So yeah, he ended up making albums here and recording here on Music Row.
Wow, that's amazing how so many of Dylan's like seemingly kind of random decisions alter the whole landscape, or at least a portion of the landscape of the whole music scene. Like those kind of stories come out of Dylan's evolution all the time.
Totally.
It's just amazing that one guy had so much influence. That's like, do you know the story when he went to Woodstock?
No.
Yeah, he went Woodstock, the town, not the festival. He went there. He kind of like went there to hide out when he was like hiding away from his fame and stuff like that. And it led to the town of Woodstock. Like Van Morrison moved there, Jimi Hendrix. It became this like tiny town with like 20 of the biggest stars of the era. All were hiding out there in Woodstock, and a lot of them wrote some music. Like that's where Dylan did the music from Big Pink with the band. Was in that area. But anyway, that's an aside. So is the cabin still standing?
No.
It's not.
No. Nashville doesn't.
Oh, man.
Precious.
Yeah,
history.
I haven't even actually been able to figure out where it is. I don't know, but it is.
Oh, really?
It's gone. I think
It's probably a condo.
and leave.
Yeah, probably some generic condo or a shopping mall or something like that.
A Target. Way more important than the history of it.
That is sad. It would have been cool if you guys could have gone there, kind of feel the spirit of Leonard Cohen. But